Now, Republican Congressman Michael Burgess of Texas, the vice chairman of the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee. Congressman, you sat in today on these hearings. You saw what was said. I want to replay some of the sound about how the website's not even done yet. Listen to this.
What portion or percentage of the website remained to be created when you launched on October 1st?
I don't have an exact percentage. I think some of previous conversations when people ask about whether things were complete, I look at it in terms of overall marketplace systems.
So you've never talked about what's complete, what's not complete? Or
I think there was a set of priority functions that needed to be in place. Like, for example, you had to authenticate an individual. That's a key function that had to.
Well, how much do we have to build today still? I mean, what do we need to build? 50%, 40%, 30%?
I think it's just an approximation. We're probably sitting somewhere between 60 and 70% because we still have to build the system.
60 or 70% that needs to be built still? Because
we still have to build the payment systems to make payments to issuers in January.
Stunning. This website not done, and it's unclear to me, Congressman, if Chow is saying that 60% is yet to be built or 40% is yet to be built. Either way, it's a nightmare.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And also what he's telling you, I mean, sure, everyone likes to say, oh, the website will be fixed and then we'll be fine. No, we will not, because what happens in January, February, March is providers who render services will need to be paid. And I think if reading between the lines of what Mr. Chow was telling the committee is they are not ready at this point to be able to process those payments to providers. What's going to happen to our doctor offices? What's going to happen to our hospitals when their accounts receivable balloon out over 120 days? I'm telling you, you can't afford to keep your practice open when that happens.
It's unbelievable. You're a doctor, so you know exactly what the impact would be. You know, the other thing that blew me away today, conversation about McKinsey, which was hired by the administration to give them a sense of how things were going. And all along the way, McKinsey putting up its hand saying, this site is not ready for prime time. Listen to this exchange.
You were not briefed at all that there was a McKinsey report or presentation going on?
I knew that McKinsey had been brought in to conduct some interviews and assessments and report to our administrator, in which I actually participated in some of those.
You participated in the interviews when McKinsey was exploring
this? But I was not given the final report.
Not given the final report. We pay for a report from McKinsey. Nobody pays any attention to it. What do you say?
But remember, okay, maybe Henry Chow did not get the final report, but people at the White House did. And that information has been provided to the committee, the people in the West Wing, the people over at the old Executive Office building. They saw the red flags, the blinking red light on the dashboard that McKinsey was talking about. And here's one of the stunning things about it. At the very beginning of their report, they put forth the concept that we were not allowed to cross the boundary of October 1st. That is, don't check the weather. We're flying anyway. This thing has to go on October 1st. And Jerry, you remember, you and I talked right before the end of September, right before the end of the fiscal year.
That's right.
Okay, Republicans were poised on a government shutdown. Why wouldn't the administration simply say, okay, Republicans, you know, we're going to try to work with you and we're going to delay the launch of this thing when they knew full well it wasn't ready?
Congressman, I mean, we've seen this happen over and over again with this administration, right? The president brought in a bunch of CEOs from all over the country to help him assess unemployment in this country, find out what to do. They wrote a report. He ignored it. He called for a big report in his first 4 years in office on what to do with the debt and the deficit, completely ignored that. This is what this administration does. They pretend to be leading, guiding, finding solutions, but at the end of the day, they don't know how to implement. And I think there's no clearer example of that than the Obamacare website.
They lack a closer. No one can close the deal at the end of the day because no one could go to the president and say, "Sir, this is a fraud that we're rolling out tomorrow. Someone had better do something." Everyone who came to our committee, the Secretary Sebelius, Gary Cohn, who's the head of the office that was in charge of all this stuff, they repeatedly said they would be ready on October 1st.
Right.
I asked Gary Cohn on September 19th, less than 2 weeks before they went and crashed. I said, are you going to be ready? It's a yes or no question, sir. Number one, he wouldn't provide an answer, but the answer he provided was in fact absolutely false. It was clearly something that had been rehearsed, and they knew at that point it was absolutely untrue.
Well, I want to ask you about the reason this whole hearing went on anyway was about security. There are huge concerns about the security of Americans' information on this website. So let's say you're desperate to get insurance coverage. You don't have health insurance coverage. You want to get it. You go on the website. Then what are you at risk for, Congressman?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure, other than the fact that I go on the website myself. I'm required to buy my health insurance through the exchange. And I'm trying to buy in Texas, where I can actually see doctors who are in Texas. It is frightening because you keep having to enter your Social Security number or give it to someone over the telephone, and your application is still not completed. Here we sit, 6 weeks after the launch date, and I'm still not through with the process. And I kind of understand what's involved, so I can sympathize with people who are, have perhaps a little bit lower insurance literacy. This is a huge problem for them. And then they're facing...
It's a huge problem for everybody. It's a huge problem for health care in this country. And, what we know is, you said you didn't know about the security risk. I know about the security risk. It is high. Apparently, there's already been a hacker on this website, probably more than that. And when Chow was asked about this, he said, I can't tell you about this in a public forum. We have to go behind closed doors, which tells you the problems are huge.
I did get the commitment from him to come back and make that presentation to committee staff behind closed doors. You're right. We need to know just what the extent of this is. He said he couldn't detail it in open session. All right, we'll give him the opportunity. I just wish someone at the White House would take some responsibility. And I have no beef with Henry Chow. He's a career civil servant, but someone needs to be held accountable for this at some level. It's a crime that the only person who's lost their job over this was the D.C. insurance commissioner, who had his problem was he told the truth. That should not be the marker that we use.
Congressman Burgess, it's always great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
Fascinating stuff.